All right, so we are live. Looks like my audio is good here. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to Woodland Pools and to another Cardano Q&A live stream. So we've got a bunch of stuff that we're going to jump into today. Several small updates and a lot of different projects. If you are watching us live, let us know where you're joining from and any questions that you have. If you're watching on the replay, leave any comments down below. And I'm also going to be adding timestamps so you have chapters when you're watching this on the replay so you can jump to the different sections that you want to see. So let's go ahead and jump in. We've got a bunch of stuff that we're going to go over today. So the first, we're going to take a look at some updates from World Mobile, updates on the whole SEC and Binance lawsuit, a rebranding by Sundae Swap, some cool new functionality from TapTools, a nice little Wallet Explorer summary, and updates on Project Catalyst Fund 10. So we have a bunch of stuff. So let's go ahead and jump in. So the first one I want to take a look at, we've covered World Mobile several times on the channel here. So every now and then I like touching back in to see kind of how things are progressing and how they're going. As of now, we're obviously still waiting for the mainnet launch, but in the meantime, what we've been seeing is a lot of air nodes going live, and obviously the progression of the Earth nodes on testnet. But this is a cool update that I wanted to share with all of you. This came out about a little less than a week ago, that the World Mobile Global app is now in the Google Play Store. They're going to add it to the iOS store, iOS App Store later. But a really cool look here to see how any of us could use World Mobile moving forward. Keep in mind, right now, they are live in Zanzibar. But the idea is, as we talked about, I think it was last week or the week before, their goal is to connect the unconnected anywhere that needs that connectivity across the world, and that includes rural areas in the United States and other countries. So this is a great sort of first glance at what this can look like on the app moving forward for all of us that are using it internationally. We can see here the amount of data that you have on your plan. Assets here, we can see here the amount of World Mobile tokens that you have that you can spend for the different utility inside of the app. Really, really cool. Nice sort of first glance here. Wanted to share that with you guys. And then always, as always, what I'm going to do is all of these links will be in the description down below as well. So you don't have to worry about trying to pause it and write all this down. If you want to look at any of these resources, we'll share them down below as well. Hey, Mark. Always good to see you, man. I appreciate you always coming out every week. Good morning. Over in Sydney. We got to make sure, I did just a fun trip over to Seattle and visited a friend from the Azure Stake Pool. I try and, meet up with people in different places around the world when I go. Got to add a trip to Sydney on my list, and we'll get lunch or something. Very cool. Thanks for always joining. All right, let's continue on. So with that, I wanted to, a couple more things. Right around that time, also an update on World Mobile that now they added another 60 air nodes, bringing their total up to 390. If I remember correctly, I think the end of last year, their goal was, by the end of 2022, they wanted to have, I think, like 225 was the total amount of air nodes. And so now we see that just in the first couple of quarters of this year, another 50% increase in the total amount of air nodes. And we'll take a look at a live view of that in a second. The other piece that's really cool is, again, we've been talking about World Mobile for a while now on Cardano, and we've been excited about the potential utility and the different problems that it can solve across the world, and having like a real blockchain product solving a real world need. So we've all known this for a while, but it was really cool to see that the magazine Bitcoinist, I think that's how you pronounce it, was putting their 5 most impactful blockchain projects, and World Mobile was on the list right after Binance. So check this out. So Bitcoinist, a cryptocurrency news and technology magazine, put together the 5 most innovative crypto companies in 2023. Number 1 was Binance, which is in a lot of hot water right now. Despite the recent troubles with the SEC, Binance, the world, and so they're going into detail about why they think Binance is an innovative, one of the most innovative crypto company in 2023. Another DEX here, but number 3 right after those is World Mobile. So really, really cool to see. If we think about it, these are 2 blockchain agnostic DEXs, right? Or rather, a centralized exchange and a DEX. So this is blockchain agnostic. And if you think about it, the first project that is on a specific, like a project on a blockchain, is World Mobile across all blockchains. So that's pretty cool. So World Mobile, a blockchain-based global mobile network, is the 3rd pick for companies advancing the blockchain space in 2023. So as they say on their website, only 66% of the world is connected. And yeah, they go into some detail about World Mobile here. I'll share this for you guys down below. But really, really cool to see some Cardano projects, and specifically ones we've been following for a while, getting some more broader cryptocurrency attention. As always, what I was getting at before, if you ever want to see the latest on how the progression of World Mobile is coming along, here we go. Let's show this to the guys here. Oops. You can always come to wmtscan.com, and you can see in real time some real stats about the air nodes that are live right now in Zanzibar, which is basically like their pilot site where they're first testing everything out. Here, as we were talking about before, I know sometimes this banner gets in the way. Let me get this out of the way here. As we were talking about before, total number of air nodes is 390. In just the past 24 hours, the total network consumption is almost a terabyte, and 15,000 unique users in the past 24 hours. I wonder if they have a historical graph to be able to see this, because this might be kind of cool. So this looks like makes it look like it's kind of like flatlined here. Can we change? Yeah. So because this is only over like the past week, so their scale here, since it's in thousands, you know, if this went up for, yeah, it goes exactly 24,037. Let me get this out of the way. To 2488, so it increased by 50, but it looks like a flat line here because this scales in thousands. So they probably want to rescale this so you can actually see the increases. But in any case, really cool way that you can see the live data going on with World Mobile at any time I come into this website. Cool. Let's see what we got here in the chat. So yeah, definitely we'll have to hang out in Australia, and yes, see you in Dubai. Very cool. So yeah, also for anybody who's watching live or is in the replay, who else is going to Dubai for the Cardano Summit? I actually am about to buy my flights. I'm going to do it this week or next week, and I'm excited to do that. I just actually finalized my hotel and flights and everything for Rare Evo and CNFTCon, which is now NFT LV, and so we have those as well. But I'm curious who's coming out to these different ones. Zanji, good to hear from you, man. World Mobile, always strong. Yeah, man. World Mobile token, I think, is one of the coolest projects on Cardano right now, with the most potential to really blow up in the future in terms of what it can potentially do. So yeah, I'm really excited because all of this stuff that we're seeing is just them basically testing it out in Zanzibar. I can't wait to see what it'll look like as they expand and move to other countries. So yeah, tons of potential there, and they've been doing really good work for a while now. So yeah, super cool stuff. Okay, so from there, let's go ahead and transition to an update on what is going on with the SEC lawsuit of Binance. I have a couple of articles that I'm going to share, and then an update from Binance themselves. So this is just under a week ago. A U.S. judge rebuffed the SEC's request for Binance for Binance.us to have an asset freeze. We see here that the federal judge overseeing the U.S. Security and Exchange Commission, the SEC's case against Binance and Binance.us, declined to order a temporary restraining order freezing the U.S. trading platform's assets. So this request that the SEC made was part of why the market freaked out last week, was because, or in the past couple of weeks, because the SEC asked the judge to temporarily halt all transactions going on Binance. And so everybody understandably freaked out, which again, I think is a good time to remind everybody that it's good that this worked out this way, but there was no guarantee that it was going to. And so only use exchanges when you need to actively buy or swap one thing for another. And then as soon as you're done on there, take your funds off and put them on your own hardware or software wallet, ideally a hardware wallet. That's the way that you want to go. But imagine, for example, this is not like an FTX thing where we're worried that, at least not right now, that they would go out of business or anything. But imagine if Binance is operating, profitable company, doing what they need to do, and then the SEC comes out of left field here, says, hey, we should freeze all of their trading. And if this judge had agreed, then all of your funds would have been locked up there and you have no way to get it out. So please, guys, as we see this shuffle kind of working its way through the system, and we see some sanity taking a while to make its way into this process, please don't get caught up in this. Get a hardware wallet, take your funds off. We have videos on how to do this stuff. Let me find the comparison video here and share it for you guys. I'll also put it in the description down below. I know I talk about this pretty much every week, but I can't say it enough. Like, it's so important that we don't get caught up in this stuff. If I look for Ledger, I'll find the comparison video. Here we go. So this is comparing the Ledger and the Trezor. And this way you can compare both of them, see which one you prefer. and check them out. Ledger versus Trezor. But please, guys, get a hardware wallet. Have some custody of your own funds, not your keys, not your coins. Let's not fall into a preventable trap here just because the SEC decides to be doing silly things or any other number of things that can happen. Okay? Yeah, so here we go. So in the opening hearing, the judge asked the SEC attorneys, this is actually, I thought was really interesting. I wanted to share with you guys. So this is part of what we've been talking about for a while, where when Gary Gensler was in the finance subcommittee hearings and they were asking him simple questions like, is Ethereum a security or a commodity? And he couldn't answer that. I really like that even though the SEC is clearly overreaching here and clearly doing things that are nonsensical, I really like to see that this judge is acting in a very direct way and really doing her job well and saying, okay, listen, to open up the case here, the judge asked the SEC attorneys to distinguish between a crypto asset and a crypto asset security. And then as you would expect, a vague answer from the attorney saying that he told the judge that the regulator had provided several examples of cryptos it believed were securities in a broader complaint, but was also reserving the right to assess the rest of the tokens on the exchanges later. And then this is a great follow-up by the judge saying, okay, so the ones that you're not calling securities, what are they? She asked, diving into the heart of the issue that's vexed the crypto industry for years. So obviously we don't have an immediate resolution on this, but there are two big takeaways that I get from here that I think are really, really good. The first is that the judge is not going to let the SEC just sort of push around crypto companies without any justification for doing so. She's forcing them to do things that seem reasonable and logical in terms of how to deal with a situation based on its merits. And secondly, it seems like she's asking the kinds of questions that we've all been asking that nobody's been able to get direct answers for from the SEC. So it's interesting to see how this whole act of the SEC suing Binance might actually backfire in that they're going to now have to provide significantly more clarity around these things, whereas before they could have just continued to, act in an obscure kind of way, and now they're going to have to say some very clearly, like, this is a security, this is a commodity, and this is why. So I think even though we're all kind of hurting right now, this is all going to be a net positive for the industry, and I think it's probably going to be a net positive for Binance, even though it's going to cost them a lot in lawyer fees. So here's a follow-up in the New York Times. Another good point for this judge. She also expressed skepticism about the SEC's use of its enforcement powers to regulate crypto world, calling it inefficient and cumbersome, talking about how basically up until now they've been doing regulation by enforcement of rules without anybody knowing what those rules are. So every quote that I've heard from this judge has been fantastic. So I think wherever this settles, it seems like we have somebody who has a level head, who's really thinking through this in a logical way, which is great. And this is the pushback, obviously, by the Binance team saying, hey, we weren't willing to accept a death penalty 8 days into the case, because basically if the SEC lawsuit passed and they were able to freeze all of their funds, then that's the only way that they can make any money. It would have been basically just shutting down their company only a week into the lawsuit without anything being able to be determined, any resolution, actual proper due process coming to light. It would have basically just effectively shut their business down just by going through the process of going through this. So totally agree with them here, where they pushed back really hard and said, hey, come on, if the whole point of this trial is to determine if we're doing anything illegal or not, then let's just actually get through that process. So some updates there on the back and forth, and then a nice summary by the Binance team, and this only just came out a few days ago. They wanted to provide an update, and they are pleased to inform everyone that the court did not grant the SEC's request for the freeze of their assets on the platform, which is clearly unjustified by both the facts and the law. So some follow-up here that I thought was really interesting, because if you remember, this was all what they were asking the judge to do. But if we remember, the reasons why they were asking for it was they were saying there was illegal things going on and wash trading and all this stuff. And I thought this is interesting. There has never been any evidence presented by the SEC concerning the misuse of customer assets. And in fact, the SEC lawyers conceded in court earlier this week when asked by the judge they had no evidence suggesting that any such thing had occurred. So, this is increasingly looking bad for the SEC. So I think, we will come through this on the other side. I think we will, my opinion, we will be stronger when we get to the other side of this, but for now we can have to all sort of work through it. And here's sort of a nice, I think, conclusion, something to keep in mind from the Binance team. This fight has damaged our business and our reputation, but not our fighting spirit to resolve and defend ourselves against unwarranted charges and regulation by enforcement we were just talking about, tactics that do not belong in our system of justice. We look forward to defending ourselves in court. And this is great. So here's some likely figures from the Cardano side on the side of Binance here, who in a lot of ways is spearheading this fight for all of us, right? Because if it wasn't Binance, it would be somebody else. And I really think the SEC came out swinging here, and they expected, I think, maybe they expected less of a pushback. I don't know, but Binance coming back strong, strongly lawyered up here, and luckily we have a level-headed judge who I think every step of the way and everything we've heard from her has been just very logical in terms of, yeah, okay, so if this is what you're accusing, then what do you have? Okay, so if it's not this, then what is it? You know, and so, yeah, I'll keep you guys posted as we hear more on this, but I wanted to make sure that we covered this because this is an ongoing thing that affects all blockchains and all of the cryptocurrency ecosystem as a whole. Zanji, just try and do straight to the ledger and use MoonPay. Yeah, exactly. So I'm not sure. I haven't compared if, like, have you looked at the fees difference on, like, if you add up like the fees of buying it on an exchange and then from there sending it to your ledger versus buying it on MoonPay. I've never actually done the math, so I'm curious if you've looked at that, if what the difference is from a fee standpoint. But yeah, that's another great option where straight from your ledger, you could just buy the funds directly and have them dropped right in. You have to even interact with an exchange at all. So yeah, very good. I'll leave that up for a little while because that's a great way to be if you can be good about that. So yeah, awesome. Cool. All right, so with that, let's continue on. The next thing is a big announcement by Sundae Swap, and this came out a few days ago as well. They're going to drop the swap a step forward for the Sundae Swap team. So let's take a look here. They say, change is constant, and over time it's become clear that while the company has outgrown its identity solely as a contributor to Sundae Swap, it became clear that they have outgrown their contributor just to it being only a swap. So while Sundae Swap remains the flagship product, when this was coming out, they made the decision to drop the swap and move forward as Sundae Labs. So this may come as a surprise to some people, but if anybody's been following the project closely, and we've been covering them now for probably the better part of 2 years, but anybody's been following this project closely knows that they've been doing lots of other things, and Pi actually talked about some of these things in our interview that we had together here. Yeah, this is a great interview where he actually talked about some of the things here that they reference in this article. The interview with Pi. All right, so here's some of the other stuff they've had going for a while now, where they already have, some of you may or may not know, they've already have this Sundae governance and then Sundae rewards. If I'm not mistaken, Sundae rewards, in terms of being able to like cash out and claim rewards, that's what they first did for their reverse ISO, to be able to claim your rewards, and then they actually sort of white label branded this for, if I'm not mistaken, I want to say for Indigo, when you're able to claim your Indie rewards. I'm pretty sure that what they were using under the hood was Sundae rewards. And similarly, Sundae governance was used for a few different things, including the Cardano Foundation last year for the summit voting. So they've been doing these things for a while, kind of under the hood, and rather, you know, sort of behind the curtain, and a lot of people haven't been knowing that they're doing it. And so now this rebranding is sort of reflecting a larger push to make this more public and offer this now as like actual open services that people might want to interface with. And then this one here, lastly, they are now open to working with you and your project. And so here is a good detail on this. In the background, over the past year, they've been working occasionally to help projects with development work that required some extra manpower, and they learned there's a larger need in the ecosystem for this kind of support. So yeah, so you can come to the new Sundae.fi page. You can see their products. You can see Sundae Rewards, Sundae Governance, Sundae Swap, their flagship product, and then ideas on how to work with them. So congratulations to Pi and the whole Sundae Swap team. Really cool to see this rebrand, and I think it's actually a great idea and really on point with the amount of work that they've been doing anyway. They, you know, Sundae Swap was, you know, they have a sort of a place in my heart because they were the first like real automated market maker DEX that we had on Cardano. And since then, they've been pioneering a lot of different things. When that first came out, They were the real first load test on the chain that a lot of us had to sort of work through and see how that was going to work. Their governance was their first governance product, to my knowledge. The rewards with the reverse ISO. So they've been pioneering a lot of cool things, and I think it's cool to see them productizing these things and rebranding themselves into a name that I think is more fitting, that clarifies that they're no longer just a swap and that's all they do. So congrats to that team. I think that's really cool. All right, so Janji has not compared the fees, but to him it doesn't matter for the security that he gets straight to his ledger. Well, cool, man. Yeah, I agree. I think that's great. Like like I said, hardware wallet's the way to go for sure. All right. So with that though, I wanted to, let me see if I can go to somewhere here that has a little bit of a better background. I'm trying to be better about this. This here actually, I gotta say, this week was just so cool. I have to stop and say, wait till you see how many. A huge thank you and welcome to all of our, here we go, to all of our newest delegators. Like, look at how many people have joined. This is just over the past week. So honestly, I've got to say, like I say this every week, I say, thank you to all of you. Really appreciate it. But genuinely, like, it's just been incredible over the past few weeks and now over the past like 2.5 years. When we first started the pool, the idea was, okay, well, let's see if we can mint a few blocks and let's see if we can help to educate some folks. And maybe, if the education, if you find it useful and helpful, then hey, try delegating to the pool. But we, for the longest time, were very much in that trench of like, are we going to get to block this epic, and is it going to work out? And it's just to see the amount of support that we've gotten, and especially how it's been ramping up over the past few months. It's genuinely, thank you so much. It is an honor and a pleasure to be on this journey with you. Let's keep growing together. Thank you so much. Cool. So yeah, I wanted to make sure to share that because I think that is so cool. And so with that too, actually, I wanted to say another really cool milestone here, and this is almost like perfectly timed for the live stream. Of course, someone's gonna probably switch delegations right as I'm talking, but we hit 1,000 delegators just today. So again, just such a cool thing to see. Really, really appreciate it. And for all of you that are out there, if you want to support the channel, the best way you can do so is by delegating to the ASPEN stake pool. We try and put information out there to help everybody and help you grow your investment with confidence and share all this kinds of stuff. So if you appreciate the work that we do and all these kinds of updates, delegate with the ASPEN stake pool and join us. Okay, awesome. Super, super cool stuff. Really, really pumped. Thank you again, everybody. All right, so let's move on. Next, TapTools. Many of you have probably seen TapTools before. We haven't really talked about it on the channel too much because it leans more towards sort of like the price action and trading side, which we don't really talk about at all on the channel. We talk more about fundamentals and projects and things like that. But I did want to show it because one, I mean, they've made an incredible product, and I've used it a few times, and I think it's wonderful. But two, what I wanted to talk about specifically from a utility standpoint, I think it's really cool, this announcement that they did here about this Tappy that they've announced, Tappy for TapTools, and you can buy one. But let's take a look at the announcement. So TapTools for a very long time, until just now, was basically free, and they had like a pro, I think. I never signed up for it, but it was basically almost everything was free, if I'm not mistaken. And so now what they announced 4 days ago is this Tappy NFT that you can buy, right? But it's not just like a picture of a penguin. The cool thing is that if you buy one of these Tappy NFTs, you get with it the utility of access to TapTools Pro for 420 days. So this just came out on the 17th. The price is 420 ADA. And the idea is that you get access to all of these TapTools Pro features. So I'm not going to go through what all these different features are. Again, I'll link this down below. If it's something you're interested in, you can check it out to see what all these different things are that you can get. But I just wanted to point this out because I think it's a really, really cool mechanism that I think we're going to be seeing more and more where you can do, if you think about it, like in Web 2, the only way that you can have some kind of a pro feature is if you were to log in, make an account, connect your credit card, do something like that. But by doing something like this, it's a really cool natively Web3 way where you can buy this Tappy NFT using just ADA. So you don't have to make an account, you don't have to do anything. And then from there, just because you have it in your wallet, you'll be able to access their pro features for over a year, for about 1.5 years. Now, some people were giving some pushback about why use NFTs at all, or they were saying they didn't like the pictures, and they thought they didn't like the art or whatever, and they didn't like that it was like a limited time. So I want to say a few things to that. Like, One, I personally love the concept of it being an NFT for the really important reason that for two main things. One, let's say, for example, I sign up with one wallet, and then now I want to have a different wallet. Instead of having to worry about like linking the other wallet to my account or doing whatever else, I can just send it from the one wallet to the other, and now that wallet has full access to TapTools Pro. Obviously the previous one doesn't, but I can now move my membership around very easily to whatever wallet I prefer and don't have to involve support or any kind of like work on the TapTools side. The other piece is that if I no longer want to use it, I can always just sell it on a third-party exchange. Or if I want to give it to somebody as a friend, I can buy an extra one and sell it. I mean, all the same stuff. It sounds really familiar. If you think about sort of my normal go-to pitch for like Book.io where I work, what I love about Book is that you can buy a book. When you're done with it, you can send it to somebody else. You can sell it in a third-party exchange, right? This is where I think NFTs with utilities really shine, with utility, where they really shine. Because here you have a membership to a thing. And then that membership is something that you can just move around your own wallets, give it to someone as a gift, sell it if you want to. I think that's super cool. Now, the notion, of course, that it only lasts this many days, starting on this date, and then it runs out. I mean, there's probably maybe better ways to do this, or if you do an NFT, maybe it could have, maybe in the metadata of when the NFT was minted, you use that metadata timestamp as the duration that remains on the NFT versus having it be like from this date on, or maybe that's what they're already doing moving forward, I'm not sure. So there are ways that you can make it better, but the same way how I loved how SundaeSwap pioneered things for a very long time, and they were the ones that had to deal with a lot of the rough edges while they worked that out. I think that what TapTools is doing with this Tappy thing is a perfect example of something like that, where being the first, to my knowledge, to have a product that everybody wants to use, and then doing an innovative way to access and use that product, and just sort of figuring out how to polish off those rough edges as they go through it. I am all for that and think it's great that they are pioneering that. So congrats to the TapTools team. I think that's awesome. And one of the things that they were getting complaints about this only being accessed for 420 days, and people said, hey, how can I just buy a lifetime license? They took that feedback, and then they said, okay, fine. If you buy 5 Tappies and you have 5 of them in your wallet, then by purchasing 5 of them, you'll just get lifetime access to the pro features. So similar to when SundaeSwap was going through some of their rough times, listening to customer feedback, responding to it, and having a very appropriate response. So I think this is really great. I would love to see more projects doing this kind of thing. Yeah, so congrats to the TapTools team. Really, really cool stuff. All right. Yeah, for those that remember when SundaeSwap went live, that was wild, man. It was like the longest swap. I remember actually in that interview that I linked, I think Pi was talking about how like the longest that a swap took when they did it in the first day was like 8 days or something. So that was gnarly and clearly unacceptable. But hey, we got to start somewhere, and then we can optimize from there. Oh, that's cool. What are some of the other ones? I'd love to cover some of them because, I have been an NFT noob for a very long time, and I really only got really into NFTs when I first started researching Book, long before I started working there. So let me know some of the ones that you've been following, and for those that are watching on the replay, let me know in the comments down below if there's any other projects like this that have NFTs associated with them where they're being used for true utility. And by that, not to disparage NFT communities, because I know there's some that are really, really strong, like Disco Solaris and some of these other ones. But I'm curious about if there's any other projects that has a functioning product that they are using, that it's like that the NFT isn't the product, that they have a functioning product and that the NFT facilitates something for that product. I would love to get some more info on that, and maybe we can do like a whole section or a dedicated video to that kind of stuff, because I think that the notion of NFTs at their core just being proof of ownership of a thing and being able to pass that around, and with the proof of that ownership then getting access to different things, that's where I think NFTs are really going to shine. So I'd love to see some more examples of that if you guys want to share it in the chat right now or in the comments down below later. Okay, so with that, let's continue on. This I just thought was kind of a cool thing by Dean. If you don't follow Dean's Epic on Twitter, I recommend it. He's got a bunch of cool stuff that he tweets out, but this is kind of interesting. He's done one of these in the past, but this is a nice summary, I thought. He updated it. He updated his summary of wallets. So if you're kind of like shopping between wallets, I recommend that you check this out. So this is a nice way to get at a glance all of the main wallets in the ecosystem, and depending on what you're looking for, right? If, for example, if you don't want to even use mobile, then you can just ignore this column completely. But it's kind of nice to see do they have hardware wallet support? So for me, for example, like I wouldn't even consider at this point Exodus or Vesper until they add something like that, right? For you, you may require that they have mobile support. So then if you're like, hey, I want mobile support and I want hardware wallet support. Well, let's see who has that. We have, at that point, it narrows it down to only Eternal, Flint, Jero, maybe Yoroi, and Begin is only on Ledgers. So all of them support staking. I'm not sure if this is still accurate. On Adalite, you used to be able to like paste in another pool ID, so I'm not sure if this is actually still limited. But regardless, nice summary here. If you are shopping for a new wallet, we have videos on most of these. But yeah, a cool way to kind of compare them. So thank you to Dean. I thought that was a really cool tweet. All right, and let's round it off here, taking a look at Project Catalyst Fund 10. So Catalyst was on hold for a while, but now Fund 10 has officially been kicked off and announced. I will link this full FAQ in the description down below, but let's go through just the major dates is what I want to go over with you guys, because that is usually what is most relevant for everybody. Here we go, key dates. All right, and let me make sure that my thing is not in the way here. Let's get that out of the way. All right, so key dates for Catalyst Fund 10. And if you have any other questions, let me know, and we'll try and get any other ones that you have here before we wrap up. So key dates for Catalyst. June 21st was when it was announced. Let's see here. Here we go. All right, here we go. So starting on June 22nd, so this is in 2 days from when this is going live. Proposal submissions are open for 3 weeks. This is where you can submit proposers can submit their draft ideas for to solve the different problems. The deadline for proposals will be on July 13th down here. On June 29th is the start of the community reviewers registration. So if you want to be, so these are two big opening dates here. If you want to submit a proposal to solve a problem via Project Catalyst, that opens up on June 22nd. If you want to be a community reviewer who reviews the proposals, that opens up on June 29th. July 13th is the deadline for proposal submission. And then July 17th is the deadline. Yeah, and okay, so the 13th is the deadline to submit them. And July 17th is the deadline to finalize their proposals. And also the deadline for the community reviewers registration. So these kick off a week apart, but the deadline for both to submit a proposal or to finalize your proposal and to be a community reviewer is July 17th. Then from there to vote, register to vote. If you just want to vote in Project Catalyst, the deadline to vote in Project Catalyst is August 18th. We also have a video on that. If it's been a while and you want a refresher on Project Catalyst, we actually have a whole playlist on it. Let me pull that up. Oh, don't I have it listed here in this section? Oh, no, sorry. Yeah, never mind. Here it is right here. Okay, great. Let's view this full playlist. Cool. So this here is Project Catalyst. Sweet. So here's how you register and here's how you actually vote. All right. And so that would be August 18th. August 31st is when Fund 10 voting begins. And then September 21st is when the Fund 10 selected proposals will be announced. Cool. Did Mark Cuban's book launch and did it sell out? Yes and no. If we go to book.io, let's give this a second. All right, if we come to bookstore and go to live mints, my poor computer doesn't like when I do live navigation when I'm also streaming. It's time for a new laptop. All right, here's our live mints, and here is How to Win at the Sports of Business by Mark Cuban. It's 40% minted right now. So here you go, 56 Hope Road. That is a link for the Mark Cuban mint. So yeah, I picked up a few of these. Pretty cool looking covers. It was nice to see some, I mean, you know, 40% minted, so that means that 4,000 of these books have already minted, so that's really, really cool. Okay, sweet. Where are we at on time? Perfect. Half an hour today. Nice and short and covered a bunch of different stuff. If you have any questions and you're watching this on the replay, let me know in the comments down below. We did this on an off day because I was traveling last week, but we'll do this back on our normal schedule on Monday evenings. So starting next Monday at 11 p.m. UTC, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and 5 p.m. in warm, sunny Colorado. So thanks everybody for coming out. Thank you again to everybody and all of our delegators. Let me have another chance to throw this on here. Thank you again to everybody who's supported us over the past couple of years, and everybody's continuing to join us lately. I can't tell you enough how much I appreciate it. So thanks everyone, and we'll see you next week. Bye.